Good afternoon. So, breaking news. Nigel Farage is the new leader of Reform UK. What a difference a weekend makes. Just on Thursday, the now leader of Reform UK sat in the Never Mind the Ballot studio, said he was going to sit this election out. His mind was elsewhere, his thoughts were elsewhere, he wasn't going to run, and now he is running in Clacton in Essex, the only seat that UKIP or the Brexit Party or the Farageistas, or whatever you want to call them, have ever held. Now, some polls show that it could be 10th time lucky for Farage in his bid to become an MP. He talked in his hastily arranged press conference just moments ago about a sense of guilt over the weekend that he was sitting this one out. Now, Richard Tice, the leader of Reform UK, putting a brave face on it there, saying it was all his genius idea to move aside for, frankly, the most popular figure on the right, who, if he clicked his fingers and said he wanted to come back, could do so in a heartbeat, and that is what appears to have happened. Now, this will send chills down the spine of Tory strategists. Their worst case scenario was Nigel Farage sweeping back in, standing and possibly winning a seat. Their second worst case scenario was Nigel Farage sweeping across the country in an open-top bus, campaigning all over the place. It sounds like now he's going to try and do both. Now, he has declared today that it is his goal to take over and wipe out the Conservative Party and make Reform the biggest voice on the right. He wants to go for millions of seats. He says he's going to win millions of votes. He's going to win millions more votes than UKIP won in 2015 at the peak of their powers, that managed to force David Cameron into holding that Brexit referendum. They won around 3.5 million votes then. He wants to go further. An astonishing development in the election today. As Nigel Farage said, it was all getting a bit dull. He wants to make it a migration election. He's accusing the Conservatives of betrayal. He's saying there'll be no deals with the Tories. He's saying that even the Brexiteer right-wingers will have a Reform candidate put up against them. And this is really, really bad news for Rishi Sunak. This is really, really good news for Keir Starmer. Now, on Never Mind the Ballots last week, I asked Nigel Farage about this. I said, hang on, what you're going to do is basically hand the keys to power to the Labour Party. He says he doesn't care. He says this lot, need to be punished for their betrayal on immigration, punished for their betrayal, the perceived betrayal on Brexit, and they need kicking out. And frankly, I think that Nigel Farage believes it would be easier to unite the right, to take over the Conservative Party, frankly, as he boasts that he wants to do, if the Tories get absolute pummelling. And it looks like he's going to do everything in his power as possible to do that. One other thing to reflect on, a week or two ago, Nigel Farage was saying that he wanted to, in fact, focus his time in America. He said he wanted to focus on getting Donald Trump re-elected in the States rather than this election. And that election was more important than the British domestic election. He got a bit of blowback from that, from the Reform sort of grassroots. Well, this country, in their view, is far more important than anything else, and it needs to come first. Farage talked about his guilt in terms of feeling that he was letting people down here, and he's changed his mind. But I do wonder whether that guilty verdict in New York last week for Donald Trump has made him reconsider whether actually going all eggs in the basket for Trump is necessarily in the best interests of Nigel Farage. He's a man that's constantly looked after number one. He wouldn't be doing this unless he thought he could win. But my God, it's going to make this race a little bit more exciting.